Hey guys, it's me, Spencer. Just thought I'd throw up a bonus video for this week. Hope you guys enjoy it. Here's a sketch I did a little while back of a flashlight. Enjoy.
Hi everyone, welcome. It's me again, Spencer Nugent. I'm back, and sorry about the prolonged break there, but life happens. I'm married, got two kids, so had to do a little catch up with family and a few other things. So, what I'd like to do today though is show you just a quick demo on how I would sketch something simple. Flashlight. For those who've kind of seen my videos before, you'll know that I use this process called form, divide, beautify, or kind of rough out my concepts before committing them to marker. So I have here, for example, just a simple volume to start with, and I'm going to go ahead and correct this just a little bit so I have the approximation of a square in the middle. That way I can draw on a nice ellipse, project back like so, sketch in or rough in my second ellipse, have a little body here, and right on the top I'm just going to draw a line, project up like so. I'm using a Prismacolor very thin pencil, and the reason I'm using this pencil is I'm trying to sketch this in a way that keeps it light till I get it right, or rather till I have a form that works. So right through here I'm dropping in a nice little contour line around, sketched in this handle on the top. So this is more of a torch configuration for the light. And let's go ahead and put a nice little switch here on the front, right where your thumb would kind of go. This will be a nice push button switch. Let's do a color break there, and right on the back side. So by color break I mean I'm sketching in just a little line here, detail to indicate where my color is going to stop. I'm sketching using marker paper and a very thin pencil. Marker paper is a little bit more expensive, but really nice to sketch with. So for the body of this flashlight, I'm going to use my chartreuse marker. Now markers have kind of a chisel tip to one end typically, and they also have a bullet point. I won't go over the specifics of how I shade with the marker, but just to give you an idea of what I'm going to do here, I apply the marker stroke in a way that's complementary to the form. So if the shape of my flashlight here is rounding this way, I'm actually going to shade like so, and this will help me establish a nice shadow core as I'm sketching this in. Now this is going to be more of a marker sketch, less of a rendering, so I'm going easy and nice and sketchy on the marker, meaning I'm not trying to be too tight, but put enough there to communicate the form and what's happening. Now, subconsciously I've picked a light source, which is kind of coming from the top and to the left. So everything that I do here is going to be described by the direction of my light source. So one thing to remember, if you're looking to light an object, I could almost do an entire video on how to shade and light an object, but one thing to remember is whenever there's a change in direction of a surface, so for example this face is 90 degrees to this face or has some change in direction, what I want to show is a nice contrast between this face and the front here. But also this face is facing upward, so it's going to receive more light than this face that's angled. So even with one marker, and just waiting till the ink dries a little bit, I can come in over the same spot and get some nice contrast through there on my form. Okay, so I'm going to jump to my next marker, and fingers crossed that these blend. I'm just going to go ahead and test here. So I've got an apple green marker, and I'm just going to use this to kind of punch my shadow core on my rendering, or my sketch rather, and also kind of use this to punch the contrast on this face of the flashlight. Now the better quality of the marker paper, the better the markers are going to blend. So if you spend a little bit of extra money, they'll go a long way to making those colors really blend and come together. So I'm not entirely satisfied with the marker color selection here. So let's go ahead and try. This actually works pretty well. Just to punch that shadow core and kind of hit some of these edges with that marker. Okay, just to bring out the form a little bit more. And I'm trying to show that this is rounding, so I'll definitely have my nice shadow core through there. I've got my change in direction on that surface as it's shaded. I'm going to punch this just a little bit more. Now the reason I'm leaving these spots white and light through here are light never hits the surface completely evenly. So I'm showing that there's some reflected light in the environment that's impacting the overall flashlight form. Now, let's say the front of this is rubberized or some type of elastomer. I can take a nice gray marker. I'm going to use a 50% gray Prismacolor here. And let's go ahead and resketch or redraw this ellipse. I do get asked sometimes, hey, do you use tools or instruments? I don't. There are other people you can follow online that do, but I'm a big believer in trying to master control of your tool without help. Certainly, if I use tools, I could get a lot cleaner, tighter sketch, and I have used tools in the past, but this is just part of a personal challenge to really hone in my skills and develop them in a way that's less reliant on tools. So there's the answer to the question I get asked every now and then. Okay, so because this is a little bit more of a matte surface, I'm going to try and blend my markers a little bit more. So with marker paper, you can apply marker, kind of let it dry, wait a minute, or you can come back over with a darker marker. So let's say I want to pick something too dark. Let's see if I can find a 60% gray or 70. I can take a 70%, right where this shadow core is happening through the round section of this bulbous portion here. And kind of hit that and then come back with my 50%, hit over that like so, and just kind of get a nice blend. And to add to the textural nature of this elastomer, I can add a few little dots here and there. On the inside of this, I'm just going to sketch in another kind of ellipse, like so, and then go ahead and shadow this in and leave a nice hot spot right through there. And if you want to, you could get really technical with this. You could kind of work in some sort of bulb detail in here, but I'm choosing to be a little bit abstract with my reflector through here because I don't want to deal with that detail. Sometimes in sketching you have to kind of pick your battles, so to speak, and decide what the real emphasis of the sketch is. Because if you don't, things can get muddy really quickly. Okay, so this is the front of my flashlight. Now I'm gonna marker in this little button area on the top. I'm gonna go ahead with an orange button. Again, my light source is coming from the top and to the left, so I'm gonna leave a nice little light spot through there, and then take a lighter marker, just kind of blend that out. So I have, even in this little button, a little bit of depth through there. On the handle portion, I'm going to repeat that gray color, come in. On the top, I'm going to leave this pretty light, and then on the side, kind of come in like so, blend that marker. Under here I'm going to have a shadow, and I'm going to let this dry for a minute. And for the shadow, I've got an 80% gray. Just come in under here and then shade that down. Okay, so again, lightest lights against darkest darks are going to give you your contrast that's going to communicate the dimensionality of your surfaces. So I'm going to come back here with a 70% gray on that surface, and then blend down with my 50 down on the side. So now even on this matte surface I've got a variation in lighting, and that's going to help this feel a little bit more real, even though it is marker. But I'm taking a real principle, which is light not evenly hitting the surface, and applying that to my marker sketch. Okay, so now I've got some reasonable application of marker here. Next thing is I can go to my pencil, which I use for my outline, or I can use something that I can control a little bit better, like this ballpoint pen, and come in and add some line weight. So if you've ever wondered, hey, how do you do a marker sketch with your Bic Cristal pen? The way you do it is you do your marker first and then come in with your line work on top of that. And that way your ballpoint pen application won't bleed on top of your marker, or vice versa. Your markers won't cause your ballpoint pens to bleed. So if you've ever wondered how to do that, that's how I do it. So these ellipses are a little bit off, but I'm okay with it. It kind of gives the drawing a little bit of human quality to it. That's what I'm gonna call it. If you don't like it, that's cool. You can do it your way as you sketch. So, and by off I mean this one's a little bit peaked right in that spot versus that one. So I probably needed to tone that down just a little bit. Okay, so you can kind of see how line weight's starting to really help this to pop and bring this to life. My apologies if earlier in the video I kind of dropped off. I had to sit down for a minute. So what I'm trying to do here is just get some really nice quick lines that are crisp but help define the drawing here. Now even though I'm using ballpoint, I'm trying to avoid smudging, especially with these Bic Cristal pens. I'll post links to the materials, as I always do, in the video description. But these pens, they put out a lot of ink, which is nice, but they have a tendency to smudge if you rub your hands, or the palm of your hand rather, over them. So this is just a good way to avoid that, is just by drawing on the outside of your drawing. You'll notice as well that I'm holding the pen closer toward the middle of the barrel, and that just helps me with the crispness of my lines. Now this is something really subtle, but whenever I have double lines, I try to make one of them a little bit darker, and that's the one that's closest to the light source typically. And the reason for that is as simple as this edge is going to be, as light's passing this edge, there's going to be a shadow behind it. So just beefing up that line weight helps reinforce that three-dimensionality to the sketch. And just to be a little expressive, sometimes I like to extend these lines out as I'm sketching, like so. Just a little lighter on the pen as I kind of sketch in these edges toward the front, and just some of these details. Just really light contour line here, going around the side, and just around this button. Okay, and let's go ahead and finish up the front of the flashlight here. So now this is a little bit dry, I can kind of rest my palm, but I'm still going to be careful as I sketch this in. Like so, and just another hint at a couple other lines in the front, and I'm going to kind of keep these just a little bit light, hint at the element on the inside. I have a couple of sketch lines here over it, and if I want, I can project a nice shadow down here, like so, just to kind of ground this on the page. So here's my really quick flashlight. I took a little bit longer on this than I wanted to, but just wanted to kind of show you guys how I'd go about doing a nice and quick marker sketch. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me on Instagram's probably the best way, as I post the sketch from the video. You can always find me there. I'll post a comment to respond to you. I can't get super detailed obviously on Instagram, but it's a good way for me to connect with you guys pretty easily. As always, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm hoping that things kind of quiet down a little bit more and I'll have a little bit more time to sketch, but subscribing in any case gives you a way to be the first to be notified if I post a sketch. So if I post this late at night, you'll be the first to know. Email will show up in your inbox saying, hey, sketchaday.com has posted a new sketch or video, check it out. Here's the topic. Use the links if you're interested in materials. Use the links that I post in the video. They give me a little bit of a kickback, and that way I can better support my efforts here as I produce these videos, get better equipment, materials, and so forth to keep doing this. So that's it for tonight, and hope you learned something. And as you learn, be sure to share with others. Thanks.